To Lord Ravana Salvoy, overseer of the realm of France and Belgium. This missive is an addendum to the report you received from my child, Diane Plainsong. Though that report was roughly correct, Diane is an apprentice of the Fifth Circle, and there were details of the event that, I thought best, remain unknown to her. Prince Vian is agitating to add Eric Reinhardt to the Red List. Although this would likely resolve the matter, it sends an unmistakable signal that Clan Tremere was unable to complete the task. Worse, it allows the prince to clear his slate, while acting as if he is doing us a favor. Allow me to advocate a different approach. As far as the court of Prince Vian is concerned, 5 Tremere met their end at Eric's hands in the Parisian catacombs. There was an omission here. One of these names, Corentin Tremel, was listed in error. A year prior, I had assigned him to oversee a course of medical and psychological research that proved to be too much for his weak-willed nature. After his sanity was lost entirely to the wassail, I had him quietly relocated to the Vienna Chantry, that he could continue to extend the knowledge of the pyramid in other ways. The 5th set of ashes belonged to an unknown kindred. All of the details regarding this individual, including how they met their demise, are unclear. But I'll speculate that this was a kindred that had lain in torpor in the catacombs for years, one too destitute to source an appropriate haven. Regent Bruhl would sometimes notify Prince Vian that the members of her chantry would be searching for lost artifacts. This was a euphemistic way to describe the regent's practice of locating torpored kindred, to be used as raw materials in the creation of gargoyles. I have had lengthy conversations with Sheriff Yates regarding the search for the perpetrator. Eric seems to have few remaining allies. He has some protection against scrying and other forms of mystical tracking. As of this night, we do not have the resources to track this diablerist. But the prince's deputy, a Malkavian known as Andre, had an intriguing suggestion. As he related, Paris was once home to another serial diablerist. This vampire is known as Anatole, a notorious prophet of Gehenna. Andre claims that this Malkavian, Anatole, possesses a unique power, one that could enable us to locate Eric. Any novice user of Auspex can see, within the aura of a recent diablerist, a series of telltale black tendrils. Anatole should be able to witness how these black threads extend over vast times and distances. But criminals aren't the only thing Anatole is capable of finding. He was raised by his sire to walk the road of heaven. At some point during his travels as an ashen priest, he acquired a companion, a young Lasombra named Lucita. Within the ruins of a Transylvanian castle at Tehuta Pass, the two discovered a secret library. By the time they left, they possessed 13 stone tablets that held prophecies of the end times. Should we proceed in this line, I imagine Anatole might be used to fill an archive or two. The Gangrel Beckett may be the best conduit to relay a message to Anatole. Both are Naudists, and it said they are on friendly terms. With his abilities, it's true Anatole may prove more hindrance than help to House Tremere. I will leave this decision to your discretion, and at the same time point out that our house shares a mutual enemy with Anatole, the Shimize Sashavikos. This may be reason enough to form a beneficial relationship, or at the very least, not to dispose of him when our search is complete. He was among the first critics of the Cainite heresy. He would involve himself in public debates with acolytes of the cult. These debates often ended badly in riots or worse. It said he allowed himself to be captured by the Red Order so that he could test the faith of the Inquisitors. Much later, he attended a convocation where he unsuccessfully defended the last of the Cappadocians, Maria Asuncion. His occasional work as a courier meant that he happened to be an organizer for the Convention of Thorns. For someone that most princes would refuse to grant an audience to, he's remarkably well known. I admit congress with Anatole is not without risk. By all accounts, the Malkavian is a religious zealot. He is said to possess true faith which rivals any hunter, calling upon God's wrath to strike at his enemies. Another constant is that he has always been a prophet of doom, initially God's divine judgment, and the wrath of ancient vampires in recent nights. I can find nothing in the primary sources which cast doubt on this devotion, but these accounts remind me of an old archetype that one can now see among the Protestant revival ministers, the prophet who uses one hand to gesture to an apocalypse on the horizon, and picks your pocket with the other. Anatole believes diablerie to be a holy sacrament. His last known victim, Octavio, was a willing one. Octavio was reported to be possessed by the demon Kupala and wished an end to this agony. Reports claim Anatole now sometimes speaks in Octavio's voice, or the demon's. His form could now be hosting a variety of souls. Since the names and number of these souls is unknown, I must count them as a danger. But ultimately, I believe the reward here is greater than the risk. This occupation has ground on for 2 years now. Food shortages mean malnourished vessels. The searches and checkpoints mean that research takes a backseat to mere survival. I fear that the total, mechanized brutality of this conflict will leave our kind squabbling over whatever blood remains. The kind are likely to initiate the apocalypse before the Kindred even have their shot. In every conflict, our enemies take advantage of the chaos to cull our numbers. So make no mistake, this diablerist, Eric, must die. Weakness invites violence. If we fail to repay this insult, if we fail to act in our own self-defense, I can think of no greater sin. Gabriel Bruhl, acting Regent of the Paris Chantry, House and Clan Tremere, Winter, 1942.